Upsa-daisy. Hello and welcome to a Celtic World. For some reason, I left the black screen up there that stops you seeing us in the opening seconds of the intro. But anyway, here we are, back on the channel, made by Celtic fans all over the world, for Celtic fans all over this great big world. But there's only two of us today. It's just Stephen and myself. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, Stephen.
Yes, I'm sure we can, Gav. It's great to be here on a Monday night. I'm not too sure how many more Monday nights I'll be here if we have any more games like that on the weekend and the last few games. The old cardiovascular health's taking a bit of a hit every time we play, really. So, so I'm hanging in there for now, but watch this space.
It's funny you should say that because I have a confession to make and I hate myself for it, Stephen. But I went to bed at halftime last night. Would you
You
believe?
did?
Like a fucking idiot.
Okay, no.
I watched the first half and it was
Well,
so bad. And it's a Sunday night, Monday morning for us, right? You know, it's late. And, I had some wine in me. And I was just sitting on the sofa kind of going, I'm not enjoying myself. This is bad. I'm just going to
this is
call
pish.
time on it. Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, my
Well,
son was on like school holidays, and he was watching it with me, and I was like, "Come on, let's go to bed. This is rubbish." And he's like, "Well, what if Celtic come back and win? What if they score a hat? What if Oxlade Chamberlain scores a hat trick and we win 3-2?" And I was like, "It's never happening, son. Off to bed with you." And then he comes in this morning, and he's like, "What happened? What happened?" And I told him, and he was like, "What?" So I didn't keep the faith, Stephen.
yeah. Yeah, well, I was I didn't watch it live. It was 1 a.m. Kick off here in Sydney, so I watched it on delay this morning. And I must admit, a few times I came close to just saying, "Ah, fuck it," and going in a shower and getting ready for work. But I managed to. I did actually stick it out and watch it right through the game. And I was, dancing around my living room. It was like 5 o'clock this morning, so it was great. But yeah, it'd be good to win one of these games 5-0 and then you could go to bed at half time quite happy, Gav.
Oh, that's what we used to do, isn't it? Bang them all in early, then just
Yeah,
see the game out. Wasn't that long ago we were
yeah, I
doing that,
remember.
but I, I smell the
I
glove
remember.
says here, you can never give up on Martinoneill. Quite right.
Yeah, we're talking about Martinoneill and his first spell at Celtic Park when I was a season ticket holder going every week. We used to we had always had a few guys in our company who were fond of an extra pint, just ridiculously close to kick-off time. So you'd be in the pub and you'd try and squeeze an extra pint in. You would underestimate the time it takes you to get the ground, and you might turn up 5 or 10 minutes late for the game. And the number of times we were already like 2 or 3 nothing up by the time I even got to my seat was incredible. We just blew teams away. It's just so different now. But it'd be nice to get back to that.
Yeah, now there's no leaving early to beat the traffic, which I've never liked,
Yeah.
the way people scuttle off to beat the traffic. It's no fun. All right.
Nah.
So, morning, everyone. Let me echo Lauren's comments. Morning, everyone in the chat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's evening time for us. It's probably post-dinner time for you, Stephen. Pre-dinner time for me. Did you just have some shrimps on the barbie for your din-dins?
Yeah, we had shrimps in the barbie because that's all we ever eat in Australia, isn't it? They actually don't call them shrimps in Australia. That's
Prawns.
call them prawns like everywhere else. So it's 8:30 in the evening here, so the dinner was a bit of a memory now.
Okay.
But no, we didn't have shrimps tonight.
All right. Well, this is what we're talking about. Obviously, here's the thumbnail. The most memorable bit of the game. Araujo Dios mío, my God. After he scored that goal, and then he goes charging into the crowd, and look at those faces around him. Those young, happy faces. They'll never forget that moment. Absolute scene, Stephen, eh?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. These are the moments that you remember as a Celtic fan. You know, you remember last minute winners. That's what you do. And if by some utter miracle we do end up winning the league this year, then these are the games that we look back to. I mean, how fondly do you look back to the game at Ross County when Anthony Ralston scored the goal? I think it was the 7th minute of injury time to win that game back in one of Angie's league winning seasons. So you do, and Mahesh is quite right there. You know, the day after we win this league, if we do, work should begin on the statue for Martinoneill because it will be worthy of a sainthood.
I don't even like thinking about that, how it's all going to shake out at the end of the season. I'm just living game by game myself. Uh, and there was a lot of talk before this game kicked off, as Lauren here prefaces. Monday, Martin O'Neill deservedly gets lots of praise, but I thought he got that starting 11 wrong yesterday. Very wrong, says Lauren. Your thoughts on that, Stephen? There was definitely a couple of starters questioned there. Celtic on the right. Stephen? Oh, we may have lost Stephen. Have we?
Gav, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Are we talking about the lineup?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised at the lineup and a little disappointed. I was disappointed to see Tanecki wasn't starting, and I was disappointed to see Hatate in the lineup. Hatate's been dreadful for weeks, to the point where he's almost a liability in the team now. And Tanecki, for me, has been our most dangerous attacking player again for the last 3 or 4 games. Even when he's come off the bench, he's been outstanding. Well, maybe not outstanding, but he's certainly showing signs of growth. That he's grown into that position and he's getting more confident. He's taking his men on and he's coming up with assists and goals now. So I was bemused to see Tanecki left on the bench. And I understand why he plays Hatate. I think he's trying to play him back into form because he knows that, or he thinks anyway, like the rest of us, that there is a player there. But we haven't seen that side of Hatate for almost a year now, I think it is, since he's had a decent performance. So I think we have to start, looking at the inevitable here, that his career at Celtic has came to an end. And I don't know, I would like to see him. I don't even want to see him in the squad moving forward because he's offering absolutely nothing. And we'll talk a bit more about the game shortly, but the midfield is just almost non-existent at the moment, especially when Hatate and Nygren are both played together. And it's, to speak up for Nygren, at least he's weighing in with goals. Hatate's just offering nothing. Cost us a penalty against Livingston. He arguably cost us a win away in Bologna by getting himself sent off stupidly. And yesterday again, it didn't actually cause any dramas direct, just hopelessly ineffective. So O'Neill and Maloney are getting a lot of praise for these last minute victories, and rightly so. But they have to come up with a midfield solution. You would have to think that would include Oxlade-Chamberlain if he's up for it. But at the moment, our midfield's just garbage and getting played through absolutely far too easily.
Yeah, I think everyone expects or hopes to see Hatate less and Oxlade-Chamberlain more as time goes on. But let's go through the moments of the game then, Stephen. You can talk me through some of these. Now, the first half, obviously, I saw and can recall very clearly. The second, I woke up and saw the result, and then I've been watching highlights and stuff ever since. So in the early exchanges, this is the first little move by Kelly down the side, down the left here. A nice little layoff there to the onrushing fella whose name I don't recall, but there looks to be no danger here. This is their dangerous big striker. Can you recall his name?
Is it that the big fucking Hun that they've got in loan from Rangers? Is it Curtis? Finlay Curtis? The other guy, the guy that's running to the left of me. Is it Justin John or something like that? You've got two first names anyway. He was the guy that scored the goal, and yeah, he was the guy that scored the goal and set up the second goal. So,
right. Well, there looks to be no apparent danger here. Trusty showing him down the outside. And then he sort of cuts inside and gets a shot away, and you can see Trusty flailing there. Now, what the hell was going on with Trusty? He looked like he'd the wrong kind of boots on for the surface or something. He was really wary of slipping over or something. You saw him in that movement there. He looked like he was going to fall one way, and then he had to adjust himself. And he just never looked comfortable moving his feet. What was happening with Trusty? What was happening with Trusty? It's a rhetorical question. Hopefully, Stephen will return to answer it one day. John Jules, says Chris M. Appears to be his name. You let us know when you're back online there, Stephen. Your picture's a bit blurry. Anyway, I don't know what was happening with Trusty. Can anybody else tell me what was happening with Trusty? Poor defending by Trusty, says Mahesh, for both goals. Don't think he's fully recovered from his foot injury in August. Trusty's an athlete, doesn't have the defensive instincts though. I think he was hyper conscious of the surface or something. There's something going on with him. Anyway, we'll get back to the stills. The other thing to note about this is, as you can see, Schmeichel going at it with his right hand again, which is something that you see people questioning. And then here's another moment. The cross is about to come in. We'll talk to Stephen when he comes back. I'll just rely on these pictures to keep me going. And then the boy gets in. This fella gets in and puts the little light header on it, and it just loops up and over Schmeichel. And again, he's going at it with the right hand. He hasn't sorted his feet out. And that must have been an embarrassing moment for him. He's a goalkeeper who's getting on in years. And it seemed to be all in slow motion the way it looped up and over him. So there's two of our players that we've got to really, we've got a question. Schmeichel is finished, says Glasgow Celtic CSC, but we're not finished with him this season. So that would have to be a bit of a concern. And this is another good point by Chris M here. Trusty can go from warrior to blouse in a heartbeat. He's been one of our best players this season. We just talked recently on the last show, I think, or last Monday maybe, about Trusty being one of our better players alongside KT and Negrin. But Stephen's back and he's going to tell us what was going on with Trusty and his feet and the surface and the nervousness. Well, it looked weird to me. Stephen, are you about to join in the conversation?
Have you got me, Gav? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I'm nodding. Ah,
Can you
dear.
hear me, Gav?
I can hear you, yes. And so can everyone all around the world by the miracle of satellite link up. But your internet seems to be coming and going. Stephen, can you hear me? Still has too many weak as piss moments. That's an expression that's going to follow him throughout the rest of his career. Brendan Rodgers calling him weak as piss. And there's Stephen gone again. This is fun, isn't it? You know, there was supposed to be three of us, but Brian unfortunately had to pull out last minute due to a funeral. There's nobody's mute. It's just the joys of the internet. So that's us 2-0 down. Brutal. I wonder, what do you think in the chat of this? Like, this picture here says, slow to sort out feet, no spring, right hand. Is that all fair to say? Because these are all things I heard people talking about afterwards, questioning his lack of spring. And also the fact that he went at it with his right hand. And I heard somebody saying he could have caught it with his left if he'd tried because there was no pace on it. Franny's saying the wrong hand, but they all seem to be taught this at the moment. There's not much agreement with that. There's Lauren saying again, yeah, he just won't use that left arm. Positioning poor, and he could have taken a step, says Mahesh. I understand, G-Doc, that is the theory. If he goes with his left hand, he's not going to get the height of it because it's his lower shoulder. But yeah, but because the ball wasn't moving at pace, yeah, it could have dropped. Possibly, I don't know. He could have got to it with his left. But there is this feeling, as Lauren says, that he just won't run the risk of landing on that shoulder. Stephen, talk to me.
Gav, can you hear me?
This is, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear
You're
me? I
just going
don't
to
know.
come
I
back
don't know
every
what's going
5
on.
minutes
Come
and
out and
say,
back
can you
on
hear
again,
me?
but
Oh my God.
yeah. But
I'm mute.
oh
I'm
Jesus!
not mute. I'm definitely not mute. Everyone else can hear me, right? Jeez, oh, having a mare. It's not normally as bad as this, is
We
it?
are having a mare.
And normally when you're
No,
coming
there's
and going,
something.
there's
I
other
don't know if
people.
there's something wrong with the streaming site because my internet's okay by the looks of it.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with me. Gonna be a short show, says Smell the Glove. Maybe. During the stills, you were silent. Really? Okay. Well, let's go back to the stills. It's maybe because I was removed myself or something. Okay. Tinecti cutting in and unleashing from a long way out. Stephen, you join in if you can hear me. This is now in the second half, obviously.
Yeah, I
Goal
mean
from
that was
nowhere.
an absolutely brilliant goal. Yeah, it was a brilliant goal. He cut in on his right foot, as he's done a number of times recently, and made it. And he's certainly working on his end product, which is one of the criticisms that was levelled at him earlier on in his Celtic career. But as I've said before, he's improving out of sight, and this was a great example of what he can bring to the team. He had one just a minute or two before that where he cut inside a bit closer to the byline and rattled rattled the keeper's hands. But that was a great goal. I mean, you don't get much better than that from a winger. If he can keep that up and weigh in with those kinds of goals and assists, then he should be an automatic starter, because no one else in the team seems capable of doing that.
Now, just before the Gremlins started causing problems, Stephen, I was asking you to explain what was going on with Trusty and his feet. He looked at me like he was very nervous of losing his footing or something on that surface. And as a result, he was like, Bambi on ice or something. What was going on with his feet specifically there? Do you think there was something odd happening?
I don't know. He definitely he should have showed the guy to the byline. He shouldn't. But you never. It's the golden rule of being a defender. You never show the guy on your inside and let him open up the goal. But it could be he was worried about his footing, because it's a terrible surface at Kilmarnock. Almost every Celtic manager in the last decade has mentioned how bad it is and how they hate playing there. And it's terrible. I mean, I was under the impression that they were going to have to tear it up either next year or the year after. Right. So hopefully they do, or get relegated or something, because it's just dreadful. It even looks terrible, even from a visual perspective. What with all these fans watching it on the TV, it's just dreadful to look at. It looks like something you would find down your local public park. And yeah, it was pissing a rain as it normally is in Kilmarnock, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help the pitch at all. But look, you can only use that excuse up to a point. We've played there many times in the past and scored a few goals. We've had some notable, really good wins down there in recent years. So it's not really an excuse, and it was very poor defending by Trusty. So I thought, all in all, both our defenders were pretty poor. Both our central defenders, both Trusty and Scales. I think Scales, for their second goal, the one that looked over Schmeichel's head, it all started from a pretty poor clearance by him, but then ended up being just a dreadful bit of goalkeeping by Schmeichel. And I think this is where you can see the drop-off happening before our eyes, because it's just decision-making. If Schmeichel reacts a split second earlier, then he adjusts his feet, takes a step back, and that's a fairly easy save for him. Just laid and got caught, and it's gone over his head and turned at the back post. So I don't know what we do about Schmeichel now. I'm not sure how much good it would do dropping him for Sinisalo, who's not really showed that much in the games he's been brought in for. So I think we've got a bit of a problem there. To be fair to Schmeichel, he has made some good saves for us this season and kept us in certain games. But these sort of goals where you can just see a little, almost intangible drop-off in his agility. And then there's the issue he's got with his shoulder, where he's getting needled every week so he can play. I'm not sure what the answer is, but we definitely should be looking to sign a goalkeeper in the summer, so you can throw that in with the pile of signings we have to make this summer, and what's going to be a great laugh.
All right, there's a question here I'd like to deal with, because I'm not sure where else to deal with it, but was there a Killie handball? Asks, I'm a great guy. Took me a moment to see that username. Now, we've got a couple of tweets here about that very subject. Here's one. Another Kilmarnock handball and penalty shout for Celtic. Penalty not given and ref not shown to VAR monitor to look. I didn't notice this in the game, but that is as clear a handball as you'll see, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice it in the game, and I was shouting for it. But the fact that it wasn't even looked at by VAR, or if it was looked at and dismissed, I mean, what's the rationale for dismissing that? Because his hand's above his head. so it's not in a natural position, and it's definitely hit his hand. So clear penalty, and again, sort of typical decisions that we're not getting recently. And I believe, we should be making more of it. I mean, I don't think I heard anybody from the Celtic camp mentioning it after the game. Even though if that had happened at the other end, they'd have been forensically poring over it for days and asking the question, why was that not given? Willie Collin would be involved, and there'd be all sorts of letters getting sent everywhere, and the media would be all over it. But it's a definite penalty. And as I say, we should have made more of it. I think we need to put more pressure on the referees. I think we need to, as the players on the pitch, need to get round and put pressure on them. And the manager and the coaching staff need to, in post-match interviews, we need to be raising this stuff because it's not going to get any better as the a tight title race goes right to the wire.
No, I say I didn't see it. I might well have been fast asleep at the time if it was in the second half, of course. There was another one, though, that I saw on Twitter today, Stephen, which was this one. Just wait till you'll see this play through here. And a guy sticks his elbow out. I think at the start of this is the best footage of it. That there. I can play that.
Yeah, I remember the shot, like Chamberlain, and it was fairly travelling. The only thing I would say about that is the force he put into the shot maybe came into the equation. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember this. I don't remember thinking at the time that one was a penalty. But once you see it slowed down, as I would.
I hope that's not you gone again, but it might be. So, are you still with us, Stephen? Can you hear me?
Yep, still here. Yep.
All right, well, we'll go through some more of these picks then. There was the goalkeeper save on the line. We've already... Well, this is Maeda's shot that came back off the defender. We ran through these. You talked about the Tenekti goal. Notably, the goalkeeper in this goes with his right hand as well. That's a lot of the criticism that Schmeichel is getting is for going with his right hand, and it's all because he doesn't want to stick his left out. But this is how they're being coached these days, isn't it? To go with their right to get higher elevation.
Look, I'm not necessarily I don't really hold a view over him going with the wrong arm or anything. My issue was with his feet. He just didn't get his feet moving in time, and it was just a split second delay in realising what was happening that caused him to, just throw himself back the way where he could have took a couple of steps back and probably just caught the ball or palmed it away to safety. But he just left himself with too much to do. Because he just took too long to react. So, yeah, very, very, very poor goalkeeping.
I also heard him being criticised for being too much on his near post for the first goal and leaving far too much behind him open. But that's another story. But talking about someone who always does seem to get his positioning right, Benjamin Nygren, Johnny on the spot yet again, just to stab one home. Yeah, we talked about the difference between him and Hatate. Neither of them are busting a gut to work hard and track back for the team, but at least he's doing the business at one end.
Yeah. I mean, that came from a long throw in from Araujo, and it's something we don't really do that much as long throw ins. But it was a really good throw in. And teams up and down the country are using, even in the English Premier League now, they've all got a long throw-in specialist who's tossing it in there into the mix, and you just don't know where it's going to break. Unfortunately, on that occasion, we got the break of the ball and it just landed on Nygren's feet, and he's put it away. But I mean, from their point of view, they'll look at that and think that was really, really dreadful defending. And it was pretty poor defending, but he was in the right place at the right time again, and kept his composure to put it away. So, but I think we should definitely be using these long throw-ins a lot more, especially since we've got Vankara there, who's a bit of a physical presence. It can cause a lot of bother, and that's if you watch the goal back again, you'll see that was the sort of that was the disruptor there. Vankara went for a header, and about 3 defenders followed him, and it just left space in behind for Nygren to get in there and score the goal. So I think we should definitely be using that tactic more.
We'll come back to that in a second. Just want to raise this point here from McLaughlin P. The cat from Red Dwarf. Do you mind the black guy in Red Dwarf who's dressed up all? I think he's a cat or something. That John Jules is his nephew, apparently, which must be true. I mean, nobody would make that up. That's got to be the case.
Yeah, the guy, okay. the commentator that I was listening to actually made reference to that. So it's true, apparently.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Red Dwarf was one of those things that everybody raved about, like when I was in my uni days, and I just never got it. English people found it hilarious, and I didn't. Did you like Red Dwarf?
Nah, not really. I can't say I was a big fan. Not brilliant. No, I mean, I watched it a few times, but it was never really my thing, to be honest.
1888. Keep telling it like it is. Total shite. English humour. There you go. That's what.
Yeah, it was pretty pish. Yeah.
Everyone saying it's shite apart from Franny. Franny's an individual. Loved Red Dwarf.
Good old Franny.
I mean, British Empire was also terrible. My God, that was the guy from Red Dwarf.
Yeah, that was awful. Yeah.
Yeah, Rimmer. There was a guy called Rimmer, or else that's a movie that Franny's referencing or something. I'm not sure. It's a particular type of movie. Who knows? Yeah, Chwanchara. That's one of the things I was expecting you to say about the team sheet. Now, there's not a lot of data in, but even with what we've seen so far, I'd rather see him up front starting than your boy, whose name escapes me, Adamu.
Yeah,
he
Junior
offers a lot more than Adamu. As you say, he's a presence. He's got a good touch, and as we saw, he can turn, and he's got a quite good acceleration in it for a big man.
He's very quick.
Offering a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, he's quick and he gets in behind. I thought Adamu was okay. He was quite, he was quite happy to get involved in the physical side of the game, and he was putting himself about a bit, but he never really seemed to link the play up well. Look, I think it's maybe a bit unfair to judge him on that first half because we were so bad. The midfield was dreadful. We were getting played through almost at will, and any time we did get the ball forward, it was all very rushed, and there was no passages of play. There was no passing moves. There was no overloads created, and we didn't really create anything like a half decent chance for him. But I do agree. I think Vankara is definitely the number one striker at the moment. I don't think he's got all the answers up there, but he's certainly better than anything else we have available to us at the moment. I wouldn't mind seeing Iniacho getting an appearance or two off the bench. I don't think he's even getting in the squad these days. I'm assuming he's fit because he was starting to come into the squad again before we'd signed all these players. But I think from now on, and I think you probably will see that because. I think Vankara is definitely the best of the bunch. Whether or not you'd be looking to take up the option to buy for £8 million, I'm not too sure. But we need to see probably a bit more between now and the end of the season. But he's doing a lot of good things. His touch, we'll probably talk about it. His touch for the winning goal was absolutely sensational.
I enjoyed your last pronunciation of Chwanchara there. First couple of times you went for a hard C on the second one, but then it's you nailed it on the third. Not too sure about Iniacho, but since you're the only other person here, I'm not going to make a big deal. Don't want you leaving in a huff, not because of the
I
internet,
thought
but
I said
just
Ian.
because you're.
Did I not say Ianacho? I know it's Ianacho. I've been told off for that
Yeah,
before, Gav, and I've been
you
practicing
did
it.
say
So
you said
if I did say
Iniacho,
that,
which is very Peter Grant of you. Anyway,
well, you can't get
here
the
we go.
staff.
Here's a free kick that that was actually turned out to be better than we thought, or as the commentary here on this photograph says, rattles crossbar, if not Schmeichel. That's Schmeichel putting his arms don't worry about it, lads. This one's sailing
Yeah,
well clear as it strikes the crossbar full on. I mean, is he
I
getting a
don't
bit
know.
more worried about how things look? You know, is
I
he
don't know.
conscious of that, do you think, Schmeichel? Because his career's coming to an end and he's getting a bit ropey. You know, he's worried about,
Yeah, I
how
don't know.
things are playing out. Uh, Stressful. Makes me nervous. That's the
Yeah,
Schmeichel story.
I really don't.
This is
I
the
don't know.
turn.
It was
This is
just
the turn from Tranchara. Go ahead, Stephen.
yeah, he just takes it. It was a throw in, and I think it was. I can't remember who it was. No, it was Sriracha throws it into him, and he just takes a little touch with the outside of his foot to take. It was such a delightful little touch, so well controlled, just to get it out towards the byline, and then he's picked out a really good pass across the face of goal, and Jesus, absolute scenes when Araujo's done really well there. He's kept himself composed. He's kept his head over the ball. And it's with his weaker foot as well, and he slammed it into the roof of the net to spark some just absolute limbs in the Celtic end. And it's at moments like that that you wish you were there. You know, you wish it wasn't 5 o'clock in the morning at Sydney's Northern Beaches, and you were actually in the pissing rain in Kilmarnock, because that these are the moments that you live for as a Celtic fan, and it was so good. Just such a special moment for the player, because he hasn't. A lot of people don't realise, but he hardly kicked a ball for Bournemouth this season. He's come into Celtic to try and get a bit of playing time, in the hope of getting into the Mexico World Cup squad. So this is going to be a special moment for him as well, and he clearly loved it. He clearly enjoyed every minute of it. You could see right the way through to when he was laughing at the referee for giving him a yellow card. And then his post-match interview as well, he was just pissing himself laughing. He just loved it. And it was great to see.
Yeah, it's all over social media. It's actually gone far and wide, you know. Anyway, here's some pics. This is the Celtic way. Showing some of the better pics of the celebrations. Look, here's the fans whose faces we kind of know now because they're in everything. Just superb. Absolutely brilliant. Some serious limbs.
Yeah,
Look, it's like I said, it's not just Celtic channels that are sharing these pictures. They're going like everywhere. This is some British football channel talking about the limbs in the away end at Kilmarnock.
What struck me on social media today was the amount of Spanish language accounts that had picked it up. And there was a Spanish commentary as well, which was absolutely sensational. And I hit the translate button in a few of the tweets, and they were all saying this is the best goal celebration I've ever seen in my entire football career. So it really has hit the nail on the head, right across the globe, and it's that can only be good. The only bad thing is, it's put him in the. I would like to think we would try and sign Araujo for next season, but this is putting him in the shop window, and I think you might find there'll be a few teams will be looking to sign him in the summer, because we don't have any option to buy on him. But hopefully, he seems to be enjoying himself, and if he gets into the World Cup squad on the back of what he's achieved at Celtic, then he might think that this is the place for him to be, because he's obviously not going to. He's not going to get a game down in Bournemouth. So any move will be away from the EPL, but he'll probably have some options in the summer if he keeps on playing the way he is. But can you imagine if when Alistair Johnson's fit, you have him and Araujo as your two right backs vying for that position? That would be a top class position for us to be in, and just such a difference from when it was Anthony Ralston and Colby Donovan who were fighting it out for that position. So if we had them on one side, and if we managed to sign Sirachi, another one on the other side who's on loan with no option, and have him and Kieran Tierney, you would find that your full-back positions are sorted for next year, and that's something you wouldn't have to worry about. Probably the only area of the team that we wouldn't have to worry about. So I hope that we can make something happen between now and the end of the season. I know Bournemouth signed them for £8.5 million, which isn't really outrageous in terms of transfer fees that we could pay. It just depends whether we would be willing to fork out that sort of money. And you might find that they would be wanting to sell Alistair Johnson on before they paid that amount of money for Araujo. So let's wait and see. But what a moment for him. It's one he'll, as he said in his after-match interview, it's one he'll remember the rest of his career.
Yeah, no, you mentioned a few things there, which I sort of deliberated as to whether or not I should bring this up on the show, but it's just a thought that flashed through my head, so maybe it's flashed through other people's heads. There's Mexican commentary, so Mexican TV are covering Celtic games, like Kilmarnock Celtic, or is it just dubbed over the highlights or something? Who knows? But maybe he presumably knows that there's interest in how he's getting on at Celtic. And, these kind of things will be sent or will make it back to Mexico. And then you mentioned that he's trying to get into the World Cup squad. That would be great. So it does him no harm in a PR sense to celebrate like this. The cynic in me is wondering, is this, Jerry Maguire? Remember, do a wee dance, it's good for your career sort of thing. You'll get noticed if you do a wee celebration dance. So he runs into the crowd and he's milking it and loving it. And he knows it's going to do his career no harm. This is him back. Come on, bring me to the World Cup. Is it too cynical of me to think that played a part in his behaviour? Or was it just the joy of being a goal scorer for Celtic?
No, I think he's got a bit of this sort of Latin American passion about him, hasn't he? And he obviously just loved the moment. He said himself he doesn't score many goals, so he's just maybe thought, this is probably one of the few goals I'm going to score in my career. I'm getting right in amongst this. I think you're probably right, though. The footballers live for their social media accounts now, and he could probably see the Instagram reels writing themselves as he slammed that ball home and charged towards the crowd. I mean, I must admit, I've never seen anybody going as far into the crowd as that. He was about 3 or 4 rows back, wasn't he? And then he's dancing with doing a wee dance with the fans, and then the phones come out. I thought at one point he was going to take a selfie for somebody, and he's then on the way back he's jumped up in the wall, and he's giving it some more there. And then he gets onto the pitch. When he finally makes his way back onto the pitch, he's kneeling down there and looking to the heavens. And then he wanders over, and the ref's obviously waiting there with a yellow card, and he just laughs in his face. So, I mean, it's just a highlights reel. You couldn't make it up, could you? It's a brilliant picture, that one.
He's such a happy wee fella, I hate to even suggest that there was anything more cynical about it, because it was brilliant to see. Brilliant to see, yeah. Jota liked the Instagrammable moment as well. No doubt about that. He was looking for the megaphone.
I mean, you've got to ask yourself if he does get a move, where's he going to go? Because he's probably looking at going back to the MLS, maybe, because he's been to Barcelona, didn't work out there. He's been to Bournemouth, didn't work out there, and now he's dropped down a level to the SPFL. So maybe he'll think, this is probably that this is a really good level for me to be playing at with European football as well. So yeah, let's. I mean, I know it's a bit of a long shot, but let's hope we've got someone in the club, try to sell it to him and try to make this happen.
There's G-Doc injecting a bit of realism into proceedings, which is precisely what Martin did. I don't know if you saw this in his post-match interview. I don't have the
Yeah.
volume for this, but did you see this, Stephen? Did you see that?
Yeah, he said ask him about his first half performance.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty funny, you got
Yeah,
to say.
I did see that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's some great scenes altogether. Look at this one of Cal Mack and someone who looks every bit the fan. The face on Callum McGregor there. Looks like he's biting his ear or something, doing a Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. I know, it was great. It was great moments, yeah. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But as you say, like, there's going to be so much work needs doing this summer that, if we can just, pick off the lower hanging fruit, as in the guys we know, and we know they can do a job for us at left back, at right back. They're already in the building. Let's just get those deals done. That would make life a lot easier and the transition a lot easier. And sorry if I'm boring you, Stephen. So bored with me. You decided to bugger off yet again. Dear, oh dear, what's going on today? All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Still can he believe we came back and won that? Yeah, fantastic. Wish I'd stayed up for it instead of going to bed early like an idiot. Let me see what's happening here. Oh, look, we have two Stevens.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's about the 12th time you've said that this evening.
I know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm back now.
Yeah. Yeah, one game at a time, sweet Jesus. I mean, that's the big question, Christ. But we'll come on to that in a second. Let's just enjoy some of these scenes. Hearts fans slam strange Derek McInnes decision versus Rangers. It killed us. Of course, you saw the result in that game. Now, I had said on the previous show, if I was to wake up to see that Rangers had beaten Hearts, I wouldn't be upset with that because it'll make the table seem a lot more interesting, which it certainly does. There's Hearts 27 games, 57 points. Rangers 27 games, 55 points. Celtic 26 games, 54. So we win our game in hand and we're level on points with Hearts. I mean, who'd have thunk? So the question I asked on the YouTube video is amazing comeback, but are our worries persisting or have they been allayed? Like I love all these last minute victories, but the performances really have to start improving. And then we can look back on this as being the form of champions this little period where we kept winning despite playing poorly. But if the form doesn't pick up, our luck might run out. And the pundits, or you hear everyone on Scottish media saying this can't last. The wheels are going to come off. But if the performances start to click, then that'll be a different story. Where do you stand on this, Stephen? Where's your confidence meter that things are going to get better rather than worse?
I think my confidence meter that things are going to get better is quite high. I think we will improve. I think with the Oxlade-Chamberlain getting more minutes under his belt when he's actually able to start games and play maybe 60, 70 minutes in a game, I think our midfield will automatically get better. But we have to find a solution for the midfield. We can't go to Ibrox and think that we can play Hatate and Nygren alongside Callum McGregor in midfield because they'll get absolutely annihilated if they do that. So we have to come up with a solution before then. But on the other hand, we're not playing well. We're in a bit of a form slump, but we're winning every week. And Martinoneill still hasn't lost a domestic league game. So, you can't really do any better than that. And if we manage to get the form to click, if something does click, and it can be anything that happens, It could be like one heavy victory over someone, one hammering. We could go to Ibrox and get a result, and that just kickstarts everything. And we're in a really good position at the moment because, as you say, if we win a game in hand, we're joint top of the league. And I don't see, Hearts. I think Hearts will drop more points over the next few weeks. I think Hearts have done really, really well this season. I don't think they're going to fall away completely, but I don't think they'll be able to keep pace with either ourselves or Rangers. So we are in a good position, but the coaching staff have to come up with some answers because we can't keep going on with the midfield being as open as it has been in the last few games. That's Dundee, Livingston, and now Kilmarnock, who've all had an awful lot of joy going through the middle of our team. And that's just not good enough because when you go to Ibrox, you have to be prepared to dig in. You have to be solid. Everybody has to know exactly what they're doing. And we just can't have their midfield being able to run through as it will, or we'll be on the end of a hiding. But it's good to see. It's good to see us still in there, and we're right in the race. Which, given the shit show of a season we've had up to now, is quite some achievement, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Well, that seems like a good time to take just a short pause, and we'll come back and talk about the games coming up after this message.
Every life is full of stories, and we all know someone whose story should be preserved. That's what an audio memoir is, a record of you or your loved one's life stories, family anecdotes, and poignant memories. We will talk online and then edit the recordings into episodes, accompanied by family photos and contemporaneous images of the past, creating an enduring audio-visual experience. We all know someone who deserves an audio memoir.
Yes, use the offer code Celtic when you get in touch if you or somebody you know wants an audio memoir. And that'll help us survive and thrive. Means we never have to charge you for our content. No intrusive YouTube ads and all that left, right, and centre for gambling companies. That's your bugbear, isn't it, Stephen, when you watch Celtic videos? Bloody gambling ads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Any reaching specific content down here in Australia, it's all gambling. Anybody who's ever been to Australia will tell you gambling is everywhere. It's such a huge problem, and it's got its tentacles into almost every section of society. So I hate it. I would ban gambling advertising tomorrow if I could, just the same way they've banned tobacco advertising. And yeah, it's just really, really does my head in, especially on Celtic podcasts, considering the ethos of the club. And then you tune into a podcast and the first thing you hear is an advert for Ladbrokes or something. So it does my head in.
Forget about Daffabet plastered all over everything. Huh? That's equally annoying.
That's true. That's why I always buy sponsorless jerseys if I buy them at all.
Mm-hmm. The Huns put out a very physical team yesterday, and it worked for them. We need to stand up to them. Do we have a new person to loathe in the Rangers team? A new diving, wee cheating bastard by the name of Skov Olsen. He got booked for diving in the first half, and then he did this later on in the game. And what was the result? Free kick to Rangers.
No.
This wasn't the one he got booked for. For fuck's sake. Is he going to be another TikTok Todd?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have heard Derek McInnes going on and on and on about that in his post-match interview. Oh no, wait a minute, he didn't even mention it. He was too busy phoning praise over Rangers and how great they are and how brilliant a club they are and how it wasn't a disgrace to lose at Ibrox and all this shit. And I was just listening to that. It almost made me want to throw up when I heard that. If you're a Hearts fan,
he was praising the Celtic. He was praising
surely
the
you're
Rangers
thinking,
fans.
is it?
It's not unbelievable. Praising the away fans.
I mean, surely if you're a Hearts fan,
a
Hearts fan, or you're asking yourself, does this guy really want us to win the league? Because when it comes down to it, they might have to. They play Rangers at Tynecastle after the split, and that might be a championship decider. and they want that little weasel faced bastard in the dugout, knowing that he'll be quite happy if Rangers win the league. And that's the shocking fact of the matter. He won't be saying that when it comes to Celtic Park next time.
Derek McInnes every time he sees the Rangers. Stephen, you see that picture?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Very apt.
Yeah. All right. So we've already had a look at the table. Here's a graphic that Hamish made on Celtic AM of the fixtures coming up, the league fixtures anyway, and his comment on it: the pre-split run-in for Celtic, Hearts and Rangers, plenty of points to be dropped. Ibrox looking increasingly massive. Well, it certainly is. Well, what jumps out at me from this is, well, we've obviously got one game more than everybody else, but look, we've got 4 away games. Rangers have 3, Hearts have 2 in the pre-split fixtures. Is there anything else you would point to there, apart from the Rangers game being massive? Who else do we face? Hibs at home, Rangers away, Aberdeen away,
we got
Motherwell at home. Go ahead.
Yeah, the big test's going to be at Ibrox, and I think it's on not next weekend, but the one after, and that's going to be absolutely massive. We have to get some kind of result there, even if it's a draw, and go again from there. But we have to. That's shaping up to be almost a one season defining match. So outside of that one, we have to play Motherwell at Celtic Park. And then that's going to be a really tough game. Motherwell are doing really well, really good team, and they're almost back in the title race themselves. So, I think it's probably worth mentioning them, because they're probably just a little bit far back now to be making a realistic charge for the league, but they might have a big influence over who does. And I know it's the last game before the split. Hearts are playing Motherwell at Tynecastle. So yeah, the game at Ibrox in the 1st of March is absolutely massive, and even now that it looks like a game where we just have to get a result in by whatever means possible.
They should make up a banner with that on it somewhere. That's a nice little soundbite of yours. One game at a time and tick them off. I mean, it's very exciting this season. I mean, it's been exhausting and all that, but the fact that every game is big is pretty brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's very good advice. We should really just focus on the next game, which at the moment is the Stuttgart game, which, to be honest with you, I'm not sure I really care that much about. But the game against Hibs at home next Sunday, we need to. That's one we need to focus on and just make sure we get the result, get the 3 points, and start trying to put a run of performances together, build some confidence. Maybe make a bit of a positive difference to the goal difference, and see if we can just build some form off the back of that. Build some midfield combinations, settle on a lineup for the last 7 or 8 games of the season and just have a right good go at this.
Yeah, so the Stuttgart game we're at home for the first leg, right? So that could be...
but the home on Thursday night to Stuttgart and then away the following.
Oh, sorry, there's a bit of a delay here. That could mean one of 2 things for us. That could be the game that we sort of get a surprise, excellent result in and a good performance, and it sparks us on to think, we're the big cheese here. We're beating big Bundesliga teams in Europe. Let's take this form and improve back in our domestic league and wipe the floor with everybody. Or it could be the game that kind of knocks our confidence and knocks us out of our stride. If Stuttgart really take us to the cleaners, or, just they're a class above, which is perfectly possible. And that shows then, we might be, it might dent our confidence, and that's a bit of a worry. So I don't know how to approach going into this Stuttgart game and to be gung ho or, put our strongest team out. I know O'Neill will, but what do you think about this game? Looking forward to it. What are you expecting to see?
Well, it's difficult to know because you think our strongest lineup at the moment includes Oxlade-Chamberlain, but he's not in the Europa League squad. So whatever they come up with on Thursday night is not going to include him. So it depends whether he goes with Hatate again in the middle of the park, or whether he plumps for Paulo Bernardo, who's not really showed much this season either, or even someone like Luke McCowan. I don't know, or whether he maybe. There's some chat today bouncing around that he might try a three at the back and go with like a 3-5-2 or something like that, and just use the Europa League to just try and unlock something in the squad. But I do worry about the Stuttgart game because the midfield is pretty much going to be as it was. Engels isn't going to be back for a few weeks, and he's going to be missed, especially when we can't play Oxlade-Chamberlain. So. Unless they manage to get a rocket fired up Hatate, and he sort of starts to play again, which is looking more and more unlikely by the week, then I think we're going to have a big problem, certainly in the middle of the park.
Like I would say to Hatate, we all know you're off this summer, but where your next move takes you is up to you. This is your last chance, maybe, to be in the shop window. So go out there and play the way you have played at your very best for Celtic and get a few admirers.
Well, the other thing is there's a World Cup coming up in Japan, or going to the World Cup. Hatate's it's been on the fringes of the Japan national team, so he should be really well motivated to put in some really good performances for Celtic and try and get into that squad. But I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if his head's gone, and he's just looking towards next season and a move away from Celtic. But you're absolutely right. Where he goes next, there was some talk about him at one point going to the Bundesliga, but he's not going there off the back of the form he's showing at the moment. The latest rumor was linking him with a move to Brazil, which isn't a top tier league at all. And that would be quite a bizarre, strange move for him. But if he could put 4 or 5 good performances together, then all of a sudden maybe a few decent clubs, maybe the Championship in England or somewhere in Europe would open up for him. But he's just been dreadful at the moment, and I really worry about having to rely on him at any point this season.
Well, I didn't have to worry about relying on you, Stephen. Your internet connection is a slightly different story, but you're here and you're always here when needed for a Celtic World. So thank you very much for manning up and joining us today.
Oh, thanks. I've been checking my internet connection and it seems to be okay. I'm not sure whether it's an issue with the software or something.
Well,
but my internet's fine.
It does always seem to be you, Stephen, that drops off. And, I'm pretty sure all the evidence suggests maybe your connection's good when you check it, but, you want to check about does it go up and down? That's the thing. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who's in the chat. As always, it's been a lot of fun. We better wrap it up here, but we look forward to Thursday's game. And the game's on Thursday. Right. So our show on
Friday
Thursday
morning.
will be a preview. Yeah. All right. So we'll look into that and the opposition and all the rest a lot more before then. And we'll take it from there. So thanks again, Stephen. Thanks again to everyone in the chat. And we will see you on Thursday. If you want to look into that game a bit more, the weekend's game, of course, we've got the tactical review coming up at 12 noon with Paul and Anthony. But from me and Stephen, to all of you out there in this great big Celtic world, all the very best till ye. And hail, hail.
Hail, hail, folks.